If you want a Volvo and you want a Volvo crossover, this is probably one of the ones you'll be looking at. Volvo sells a ton of XC60s every single year, but what if you want one that is more performance oriented? Welcome to Out Motorsports, the channel for cars as you are. My name is Jake, and this is the 2025 Volvo XC60 Polestar Engineered. Now, Polestar itself is a separate brand that's kind of a spin-off of Volvo at this point, but if you get a Polestar Engineered Volvo, that is the one for the driving enthusiast, and you'll notice it because of the gold brake calipers first and foremost. Now, the elephant in the room here that one of my friends brought up to me is that the drivetrain in this car is the same as if you get an XC60 T8. So why would you get the Polestar? And if you choose the Polestar, is it really that much better than getting a regular XC60? So that is what we're going to talk about. Well, someone else already curbed this one to shit. His whole wheels. So at this point, my friend Nate stepped out from behind the camera to look at the wheel, and I bent over to show it to him, and my microphone died. So we're voiceovering this, but you still get to watch me talk at you. But performance-wise, what do you get with the XC60 Polestar? Well, it's going to be the same drivetrain as an XC60 Recharge T8, which is to say a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine driving the front wheels with an 8-speed torque converter automatic transmission, and then out back, you've got an electric motor that makes another 143 horsepower, powering just the rear wheels. So combined, they give you 455 horsepower, 523 pound-feet of torque, and they are technically making all-wheel drive out of this, although the two axles are not mechanically connected. Now, this is a plug-in hybrid. You do get about 30 miles out of your plug-in hybrid electric-only range, and beyond that, it just becomes a regular hybrid like anyone else would be used to. Now, as far as what else Polestar does, visually, obviously, you can tell there's some different black accents. You've got kind of different bumpers going on, different wheels. In this case, you get a 22-inch optional wheel versus the standard Polestar Engineered wheel being a 21-inch wheel. So that is a little bit different. Suspension and chassis are going to be the biggest things that Polestar Engineered gives you, and that's going to be Öhlins dampers, which are very well renowned. They are a performance damper. However, unlike other performance dampers on other cars, they are not adjustable in the cabin. You have to actually adjust them manually by hand outside of the car. Those are paired to a Polestar Engineered stiffer set of springs that will again help with body control and handling and all that good stuff. And then they give you a Polestar Engineered front strut bar that connects the top of the struts under the hood, and that should help with some chassis flex. Polestar also claims you get unique bump stops, although how different they are, they don't really say, and they also claim a, quote, lower center of gravity, perhaps because the car is just sitting a little lower from those different springs. In any case, that's that. When it comes time to stop, you've noticed the gold brake calipers on some of the other Polestar Engineered cars in recent history. Those have been Brembos. In this case, they're made by Akebono, but point being, they're still a bigger brake, and you get those gold calipers just to show off that this is the unique Polestar Engineered car. The gold does carry into the interior with the seat belts, as we've come to expect, which is a really cool touch. And you get black nap leather front sport seats that are a little different than your typical seats. The only downside is that they are only heated, they are not ventilated. We've also got a couple other things in this package, including a heads-up display, a surround view camera, park assist, Bowers & Wilkins sound, and the Orifice Crystal gear shift. So that's what you get. Doing all this brings a price of about $77,000. And with that, let's get behind the wheel and talk about if it's all worth it or not. All right, well, hi. So this is my friend Nate. You've seen Nate if you watched my most recent W140 video for the project car, but now we're together in this. And you're not a Volvo owner, you just like sporty cars.
Right.
So we've been bopping around on some back roads here, and your boss also has a V60 Polestar Engineered, right?
Yep.
So have you driven that or been in it? Or?
I've been in it a couple times. I've not driven it.
Okay. So that's like a whole similar setup, and we'll try and get one of those to review later. But I think for this car, I don't know if I'm like feeling the Polestar bits. Like it's spicy, but not spicy.
Yeah.
I think the drivetrain, so I've got it in the B mode, and you can shift it manually, but it's just kind of like, what's the point?
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary to shift a crossover manually.
No, unless, like you were saying earlier, if you're on bad road conditions or something,
like
or going
snow,
on a big
where
hill,
you need it to sort of hold the gear, and you just want to like make sure that you're stuck in it.
Yeah, and like when we get to a straighter part of this, I can really goose it, but it's plenty quick.
Mm-hmm.
And it's What's interesting though is because these are decoupled drivetrains, I've gotten torque steer and axle hop out of the front axle because it's an open diff and there's like, it can only do so much, whereas the rear can just kind of add torque.
Yeah.
So that's been kind of interesting.
And I don't know if you know the electric motor, if it's in to fill boost gaps or with the turbo engine, or if it's always on, if it's just for more power, controlling only the rear axles.
Yes, it's both. So I'm driving in the Polestar mode, which keeps both motors on now.
Right.
And we're in B, which adds heavier regen braking. So kind of one pedal drives. You can run it as a full electric, you can run it as a hybrid.
Yeah.
Either way, when the gas engine comes on, the electric motor kind of masks any turbo lag, so it doesn't really feel like it has that, but it can have bits where, and I think your boss was talking about this morning, where if the electric motor is the only thing running and it needs to add the gas motor for more grip or more traction,
for all-wheel drive, yeah.
It takes a second for the whole system to kind of come online and like do its thing. So, okay, this is fairly straight. Let's just like... Okay, so that's all torque.
Yeah, oh, there's the shove, yeah, for sure.
But 523 pound-feet.
That's enough.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It doesn't really encourage a lot of that. I don't know.
It's spicy Volvo.
It's spicy Volvo.
Yeah.
Spicy modern Volvo. I think there's enough to like with it.
Yeah, the seats are great. It's super comfortable. It's easy to just sort of get in and enjoy it.
It's very enjoyable.
Yeah.
Just from a general premise of like, it feels kind of cozy. I like that.
Yeah.
Some people have said the suspension on these rides too firm. I don't love the fact that you have to adjust it manually on a $73,000 car, however much this costs. Hey, all road.
Yeah.
Neat. Wagon love. I would prefer the adjustable suspension that you can do in the car, which means you get the non-Polestar.
Oh, and a different suspension, right? Yeah.
Right, it would be a little softer.
It's air suspension.
It's air, yeah.
Okay.
And the spring rates of the air springs would be softer than these. But I don't think this rides poorly.
I don't think so.
Even in the city, like we were driving, and that, seemed fine.
Yeah. You feel some of the imperfections, and you do bounce just a little bit, but it's on 22-inch wheels and summer performance tires.
Itty-bitty sidewalls. It corners, I think, fairly flat.
Okay, yeah.
I think the thing that is killing me about this, for it being like a performance car, it's got the firm steering feel in the infotainment, which is its own setting versus the Polestar drive mode for the drivetrain. The steering is like pretty lifeless.
Oh.
So it's not, I like, because steering is more than just the firmness of the weight of electronic power steering. Like you've driven, your Genesis is EPS.
Yeah.
And like, you can get good steering out of electronic steering. It just, this is Volvo, it's spicy Volvo. So.
And does a crossover ever beg you to drive it more spirited or just spicy?
I've done, but I guess everything, like, it's been spicy, not super spirited. I think if this was the wagon, I'd be more encouraged to like do dumb stuff with it.
Yeah. This
is not encouraging that, despite having similar hardware. I don't know. I think I like it, but I don't love it.
Yeah.
And our one friend who insisted that if you're gonna get this, you're better off getting the non-Polestar and getting the tune and the air suspension, all that on a non-Polestar model. I think he's right. Unless you really love the looks.
Are they different?
I mean, like the wheels and the gold calipers.
Yeah, you won't get the fun seatbelts.
And the seatbelt. I love the seatbelts. I think this is like the coolest little touch.
It's a nice little add to spice up the interior of an all-black vehicle.
And like the little metal, whatever trim this is. I just don't know. Like, I appreciate all the hardware here to do the Polestar bits.
Yes.
I just don't think it's the one I would choose for myself.
Okay.
I think it looks fantastic.
Yeah. I do think it's a very pretty car. I think it's aged well. When it came out, it was very beautiful, and I think it has completely stayed course. It's not lost its edge as far as styling is concerned.
Yeah, they've aged super well. I like the interior a lot still.
Yeah.
My only complaint, I've said this with the other Volvos that are kind of ready for a redo, is the screen resolution is not super crisp anymore. Like, screens have evolved, so it could be a sharper screen, but other than that, like, it's a nice place to spend time.
Do have to go into the screen for a lot of functions, correct?
Yes.
To get even in Polestar mode, you have to go into the screen.
Yeah.
Okay, there's no dedicated button on the sportiest Polestar Engineered mode.
There's a dedicated settings button, but push, wait, driving, wait, Polestar.
Okay.
And it resets every time you ignition cycle.
Oh, you can't keep it in the mode.
No. And I understand, like, it's a plug-in hybrid, and, you know, we want to focus on that a lot of the time, and most buyers probably want that, but I think you should be able, it has an option that says always start in pure which is the EV focused mode. So why can't we have another one that says always start in Polestar?
For the Polestar Engineered car.
Right.
I could see it on a normal car not needing, a normal XC60 not needing that.
Yeah.
But you're trying to, you bought this, the hopped up one, you bought the one that's always going to be more fun theoretically.
Right.
Why can't you push a button and always be in it?
Right.
Instead of going to a screen, to a menu, to hitting a button and waiting for it to do it.
Or give us like a little drive mode toggle or something.
Right.
I do like this as a pure EV. Where, like, to just drive around the city when it's got a full charge.
Yeah.
It
makes sense.
I like the duality of it. Of like, in the city, I don't care about any sportiness. Let me just like waft to go to dinner or whatever I'm doing. But then you come out here and, you know, okay, we can hustle a little more.
You can have some fun with it.
Yeah.
But you're not taking it to a track.
No. I think my disconnect of this being sporty is how they've got the completely disconnected drivetrains, the front and rear thing. Because I think it bothers me that it makes all this torque and everything, and there's no like torque vectoring to keep the power flowing. You know, there's only so much you can do because it's effectively two drivetrains working in tandem. Versus like, you know, Audi with Quattro that can shift power front to back and all that. It can only do so much.
Right.
So I think that's where I think I'd be happier in the non-Polestar, because it doesn't encourage me to be like as much of a hoon. So then I don't notice it as much.
Fair.
So I don't know. It's still a lovely car.
Yes.
Oh, there's a man on a horse.
Don't see that all the time.
Where are we even? I don't know. We've just been driving. Okay, well, let's turn around. And
is that it?
I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts about men on horses or Volvos?
Save a horse, ride a cowboy.
Ah, there you go. Save a horse, buy a Volvo.
I mean, what is their logo here? Is it a moose?
Yeah, it's a prancing moose. That's a prancing approximation of a moose.
Closest you're gonna get to a moose in Northern Virginia is a horse.
That's not prancing, that's a trot.
Yeah, they're trotting.
Yeah, well, I think this is a perfectly lovely car.
Absolutely.
I just don't know if I'm sold on the Polestar part, because I don't think it's, to your point, as a crossover, like, how much do we want this versus, like, they offer the wagon? I understand, like, Audi does not offer like a wagon version of an SQ5. So if you want something that size,
they don't offer the A4, S4 Avant.
Yeah, I guess it would be like an RS4 Avant. They don't do that here.
Right.
So the SQ5 is the closest thing to like something that's hot in that size. But I think given Volvo offers this as a wagon, I'd rather have that and then let this just be at its best, which is being a little softer crossover to me. So yeah, I think that's where my brain is at.
Yeah.
But they better keep selling the wagons.
Yes.
Hot.
Yes, and
we have like 4 friends that own them.
Yeah, and everybody comments on the wagon. They're like, oh, the wagon, a Volvo wagon is such a quintessential thing.
Right. it's like a staple of society, and then to have a hot one is like even cooler. So yeah, if you're shopping for one, please keep buying them. If you really think you need this, I mean, it seems like the wagon has the same sort of interior space too. It's just lower.
Yeah.
So I think unless you need the ground clearance, like, do the wagon, be cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, those are our thoughts on the XC60 Polestar. Thank you for coming along. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Come to our events. Nate comes to every event ever.
Yes.
We're doing all the track crosses and road rallies and everything. So join us for that. We've got a whole schedule for 2025 on the books. So that'll all be on the website very shortly. And see you for the next one. Bye.